everybody, welcome back to Cottoverdi. My name's Annette and today is day 19 of Vlogmas. It also happens to be Richard's birthday. If you've been following my channel for a while, you will have seen Richard in many of my videos helping out in the garden. He's a real workhorse and I'm very grateful for all his help, but I want to wish him a happy birthday. Anyway, today's video is very exciting because I have ordered loads of new peonies. Peonies are some of my favourite flowers, but it's quite difficult to keep replanting them because it delays flowering and things like that. So I have delayed buying my peonies until we've had more beds prepped. And now that we've got a few beds prepped, I can start planting peonies. Peonies are some of my favourite flowers because they are so sumptuous and romantic, and they come in these gorgeous pastel shades. They also come in white and there are some red ones, but I am drawn to the pastel shades. There are three different types of peonies. There are the herbaceous varieties that die back to ground level every year, and we clear those leaves away and all the foliage each year, and then they sprout up again the following season. There are the tree peonies that have much thicker stems. They're not really trees, they're more like a shrub, but we don't prune those ones unless absolutely necessary. So they've got these thick woody stems. Then there are the intersectional hybrids, and these are hybrids between the herbaceous and the tree peonies, and I have one or two of those already in my garden. They are much more rare, so it's harder to find them, and consequently they are more pricey, but they're very unusual. The flowers are a little bit different and I think they're gorgeous. All the varieties that I'm going over today that I've got in this order, or these orders, because I have two orders, are all the herbaceous varieties. So the herbaceous varieties are deciduous perennials with large blousy flowers, often the size of dinner plates. They're deer and pest resistant, and they're great as cut flowers. They flower, generally speaking, June and July in the garden, and they're some of the earliest, big blousy flowers to come into their stride in the garden. In my garden, the tree peonies in particular flower before my roses flower, which is wonderful. There are three sort of different seasons, so you could get early flowering peonies, you could get mid-season flowering peonies and late season flowering peonies. And this just describes whether they're going to flower early in June or whether they're going to flower late in July or somewhere in the middle. And in all honesty, when I look on the internet, quite often the same variety is described differently by different growers. So, they'll flower between June and July. The other thing about peonies is that, unlike roses, they're not going to repeat flower. So once they've done their flowering in June and July, that'll be it for the season, and then you won't get any more flowers until next year. So peonies really love to be planted in the sun. With tree peonies, they can take a little bit more shade, but with the herbaceous peonies, they are best planted in full sun. That's where they're going to thrive. Well, let me show you a tree peony root. So the pink bits are the eyes, and then I guess where it joins all the roots, this is the crown, and then these are all the roots. And when ordering a bare root peony, it's going to come in all different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's just going to be sort of one stick like this. Sometimes you'll get a bunch of roots, but all of them will have little buds on the end of them. So when planting the peonies, it's important that this area here, the crown, isn't more than 2 inches below the soil. If herbaceous peony is planted too deeply, it won't flower. It will grow and you'll get loads of lovely foliage, but your peony won't flower. And so it's really important to get the right depth and not bury these too deeply. Tree peonies are slightly different. They can be buried a little bit deeper, but not much deeper. And I would just stick with, not planting this more than 2 inches below the soil surface. If it wasn't pouring with rain today, I would plant one and show you how to do that. But I will put that in a future video, so do subscribe to my channel and follow along, and hit the notification bell if you want to see me planting the peonies when it stops raining. But we've had the wettest December I can ever remember. I can't get out in the garden. When planting the peonies, they're also heavy feeder. They don't want to be sitting in really wet clay soil. So definitely add some lovely nutritious compost to the planting hole when you plant them. And I always feed my peonies every year just to help them with their blooms. But peonies are going to last 100 years or more. So they'll last well beyond our lifetimes when we're planting them. So it's really important to plant them well. Just one more thing to note about the herbaceous peonies, and that is that quite often they're going to need staking. Now it is possible to buy peony plant supports that sort of curve outwards at the top. And those work quite well, but you could actually stake peonies with anything. I've just used branches to hold them up in the past. But especially if the flower heads are really big and sometimes the stems aren't so strong, those peonies will definitely need staking. So be prepared to do that. And as always, stake before you need to, because then the plant will look its best when it comes into flower. So now I'm going to go through the different varieties that I've ordered and just describe them a little bit. So the first one I've ordered is called Dr. Alexander Fleming, and this is a classic peony. It's been around since the Edwardian times. It's got lovely, large, soft pink, almost deep apple blossom coloured flowers, and they're really huge and sweetly scented. It's very fragrant. And this one is an early to mid-season variety that flowers really heavily. It's absolutely beautiful. It's going to grow about 90 centimetres. I'm going to say that most of them grow 60 centimetres wide, so just assume that with all of the peonies I'm going over, but they'll get between 60 and 90 centimetres wide, so between 2 and 3 foot. But Dr. Alexander Fleming is going to, I'll describe the heights, is going to get to about 90 centimetres to a metre tall. The next one I'm going to describe is called Angel Cheeks, and this is a double bomb-shaped flowered peony in soft pink with flashes of raspberry. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to have this one. It's super fragrant and it's going to grow to 90 centimetres tall. And again, this is an early to mid-season flowering peony. Then we've got a peony called Bouquet Perfect, which is quite hard to find on the internet because it keeps showing perfect bouquets, but there's a peony called Bouquet Perfect. This has smaller flowers, but they are bright Barbie pink, very current at the moment, and they're anemone-like flowers, so they're kind of fluffier in the middle than they are on the outside. It's slightly fragrant. It's a little bit shorter, so it's going to grow to 70 centimetres tall, and it is a mid-season variety, and this one has got an RHS Award of Garden Merit. Then we have Duchess de Nemours, which is this variety here that I've been showing you. I'm not going to get them all out of the bags because they pretty much all look the same. Duchess de Nemours is one of the oldest and most famous varieties of peonies. It's been around for ages. It's got an RHS Award of Garden Merit. It's one of the shorter varieties, only growing to about 80 centimetres tall. It's got these huge, beautiful, double creamy white flowers with a yellow centre, and it is highly fragrant. And it's a mid-season variety. Then we have Felix Kraus. I'm not sure how to pronounce that properly because it comes from France. This is a red variety, so it can be described as magenta or cerise, or I've even seen it described as just pure red, but the petals fade in colour towards the edges. It's really heavily scented. It's an excellent cutting variety, and it's going to grow to about 90 centimetres tall. Then we have Gardenia. These are double white flowers, sometimes with pink tinges towards the centre. It's very sweetly scented. It's going to grow to about 90 centimetres tall, and it's a mid-season variety. The next one I've got is Kansas. This is considered to be the best double red peony. So the flowers are large and they're deep pink with ruffled inner petals. It's very fragrant and it's got exceptionally strong straight stems. And this one's going to grow to about 1 metre tall, and again has the RHS Award of Garden Merit. The next one I've got is called Lady Alexandra Duff. This one has very large double pink rose-shaped flowers. They fade to white as they mature. It's described as having an alluring fragrance, and it's going to grow to 1 metre tall. This is a really strong and reliable, outstanding and floriferous variety, and again has the RHS Award of Garden Merit. The next one I've got is called Madame Callot or Callot. It depends whether we're putting on a French accent or not. This one has large double pink and pale cream flowers. It's highly scented and floriferous. The scent is kind of spicy. It'll grow to 90 centimetres tall and is an early season variety. The next one I have is called Mother's Choice, and I've ordered 3 of these because I think it's a beautiful peony and I want to be able to cut lots of them and bring them indoors. So these have very large creamy white flowers with long stems. They're great for cut flowers. It's wonderfully fragrant and the blooms last a really long time. It grows to 90 centimetres tall and rarely needs staking, and it's a late season variety. And then the last one I've got is called Myrtle Gentry. This one's got large blush pink flowers tinted with salmon, and it opens out into this large cabbage rose shape. The flowers fade to white with age. It's extremely fragrant and has strong stems, and it's a mid to late season variety. So that's all the peonies that I've got in these 2 orders. I really hope that it sparked your interest. Maybe you fancy planting 1 or 2 of those in your own garden. Do let me know if you've had any experience with any of these peonies. It's always interesting to hear from other people how they found growing them and which ones they find need staking. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.